Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive. Today we're looking at AI ethics.
Okay.
So we've got these excerpts from a podcast script called The Ethics of Artificial Intelligence, Navigating the Moral Landscape.
Sounds pretty intense.
It is, and it's super relevant to, everyone, right? I mean,
Uh,
AI is everywhere now, but are we, really thinking about the ethics behind it all?
that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
And what I find so fascinating is that AI isn't just this science fiction thing anymore.
Yeah,
It's actually making decisions that impact us every single day, from really small things to life-changing stuff.
exactly. And because it's such a powerful technology, we really got to make sure it's used responsibly.
Absolutely.
And not just for profit or convenience, but, for good.
For the greater good, yeah.
Which brings us to, this fundamental question. What even is AI ethics?
Well, the script we're looking at defines it as a set of guiding principles for developing, deploying, and using AI systems.
Okay.
And that last part, the using part, is really important.
Okay, how so?
Well, it means AI ethics isn't just for, scientists in a lab.
Oh, I see.
It's something we all need to be thinking about.
So let's break that down a bit. What are some of those principles we're talking about?
Well, think about things like respecting human rights,
Okay.
ensuring fairness, maintaining transparency.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to be aware of the potential consequences of AI at every single stage, from creation to application in our lives.
Okay, so that makes sense in theory, but can you give, a real-world example, something that shows these ethical challenges we're facing?
Absolutely. One example that really stood out in the script was facial recognition technology.
Oh, yeah?
Some systems have shown to have higher error rates for people of color,
Wow, really?
and that can lead to some really serious consequences.
That's concerning. I can see how that could be really harmful, like misidentification by law enforcement or missing out on jobs because of a biased algorithm.
Exactly, and it's happening right now.
Not some future problem.
No, it's a very real issue we're facing today. And it's not just facial recognition.
Oh, okay.
We're seeing this with AI in healthcare,
Yeah.
finance, even the criminal justice system, areas where fairness and accuracy are absolutely crucial.
It's a little scary, honestly.
It is a big concern.
Makes you wonder, if an AI makes a bad call, who's responsible? Can you hold an algorithm accountable?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The whole issue of AI accountability. Can you really hold an algorithm responsible? Can we even understand how it reached a certain decision? And where does the responsibility lie with the developers and companies using it?
Yeah, it's kind of like we're handing over decision-making power without fully understanding the consequences.
It's a slippery slope, for sure.
And as AI gets even more, sophisticated, more autonomous, that line between a helpful tool and something potentially dangerous gets even blurrier, right?
Exactly. We need to be having these conversations now.
So we were talking about AI making decisions. And it's not just playing chess anymore, right? We're talking about diagnosing illnesses, influencing legal cases, even deciding who gets loans.
You're exactly right. It's really mind-blowing how quickly AI is being integrated into these incredibly important areas of our lives, making decisions with real consequences for people.
And are we really okay with that? What happens when AI starts making decisions we don't understand or we don't agree with? Who gets to decide what's right then?
That's where things get really complicated. It raises questions about the balance of power between humans and AI and how much autonomy we're willing to hand over. Ethical considerations can't be an afterthought.
Right, right.
We need to think critically about maintaining human oversight.
It sounds like building ethical AI is a whole different challenge from just making AI smarter, right?
Absolutely. We need to be having a different conversation about AI. We can't just focus on the technological advancements without talking about the ethical implications.
And speaking of implications, we can't ignore the whole issue of AI surveillance and its impact on privacy.
Right.
This is where things start to feel a little Orwellian.
I know what you mean. The rise of AI-powered surveillance is a big concern. We're talking mass data collection, facial recognition, tracking people's movement.
And it's all happening now. Right now.
Right now. Often without people even knowing or consenting to it.
And the scary part is it's usually justified in the name of security,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But at what cost to our freedom?
It's a tough question. While there might be some legitimate security applications, we have to be incredibly careful to prevent misuse and overreach. It's a very slippery slope.
Imagine a world where your every move is being watched and analyzed by AI. That's a pretty unsettling thought, right?
It definitely raises some red flags. It forces us to think about what kind of society we want to live in. Is sacrificing privacy for security really a trade-off we're willing to make?
These are big questions, and they're being answered right now. It feels like we're at a turning point.
I agree.
We all need to be paying attention because these decisions are going to have a major impact on our future.
I couldn't agree more. It's so important for everyone to be informed about AI ethics and not just the people in tech or policymakers.
So we're saying it's not just a tech issue, it's a societal one that affects all of us.
Absolutely. It's about the world we're creating for ourselves and future generations. We need to ensure technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
It's easy to get caught up in the potential downsides of AI, but we should remember all the good it can do, too.
Oh, for sure. It's all about finding that balance, right? AI has incredible potential for good.
Right, like in healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare is a great example.
It's being used to diagnose diseases earlier, personalized treatments.
And even develop new drugs.
It's really revolutionizing the whole field.
It's really exciting to see how AI is helping us address some of the world's most challenging problems, like climate change and poverty.
Yeah, it's amazing what it can do. But we have to make sure it's being used ethically, right?
Exactly.
Which brings us back to that whole question of regulation and governance.
Ah, yes.
How do we keep AI in check?
That's a big one, and it's complicated. AI is a global phenomenon, so finding a solution that works for everyone is going to be a big challenge.
So what are we talking about? Like an international treaty for AI, or maybe a global AI police force or something?
Maybe not a police force, but we definitely need clear guidelines and standards.
Right.
It's about promoting responsible development and use, not necessarily controlling every single aspect of it.
I can see that. But how do we do that when different countries have such different priorities and values?
That's the real challenge, finding that balance between national interests and international cooperation.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible. There are some initiatives already in place, like the EU's AI Act and the OECD's AI principles.
So there's hope. We're not all doomed to like an AI apocalypse or something.
Haha. I wouldn't say we're out of the woods just yet, but there's definitely more awareness about the importance of ethical AI.
Okay, that's good at least.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction.
I'll admit I was starting to feel a little overwhelmed.
It's understandable. It's a lot to process.
But I think the more we talk about it, the more we can, explore different perspectives.
Exactly.
And hopefully find a way to navigate this whole new world.
I completely agree. The more we talk about it, the better equipped we'll be to make the right choices for the future of AI.
So where do we go from here? What can regular people, like me or our listener, do to actually make a difference?
I think first and foremost, stay informed. Learn about AI ethics, engage in these conversations, and hold companies and policymakers accountable.
That whole using part of the AI ethics definition you talked about earlier really stuck with me.
Yeah, it's an important one.
Like we all have a role to play.
We do.
It's not just the experts.
Exactly.
We interact with AI every day, and our choices matter.
They really do. Our decisions as consumers, the apps we use, the products we buy, all of that can influence how AI is developed and used.
So it's about being informed consumers, understanding potential bias, and speaking up when something doesn't feel right.
Exactly. Remember, AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It's up to us to make sure it's used for the benefit of humanity.
Going through all this material, I started to feel like I was in one of those sci-fi movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like AI surveillance everywhere.
I can see that.
And then I was like, wait a minute, my phone already tracks everything I do.
Ah, right.
It's not that far-fetched.
Not at all. AI is already a huge part of our lives, even if we don't realize it.
Yeah, that's why conversations like this are so important.
Exactly.
This whole deep dive has been really eye-opening for me.
Yeah, it's a complex topic.
Definitely. And as AI keeps advancing, I imagine the ethical challenges are only going to get more complicated.
You're absolutely right. We need to create a culture of ethical awareness around AI,
Right.
and not just in the tech industry.
It's not about being scared of AI, right? It's about understanding its power and making sure it's used to benefit everyone.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about harnessing the potential of AI while ensuring it aligns with our values and goals as a society.
It really feels like we're at a crossroads with AI,
Yeah, I agree. It's like a pivotal moment.
Like the choices we make today are going to have huge implications for the future.
Absolutely. And it really emphasizes our responsibility, I think,
To do what?
to actively shape that future.
Oh, okay.
Not just let it happen to us.
This whole deep dive has really made one thing clear.
What's that?
We can't just sit back and passively accept whatever happens with AI.
I completely agree. We have a responsibility to make sure AI develops in a way that benefits humanity.
I like that. That's a really powerful message.
It's not about being afraid of the technology.
No.
It's about understanding its potential and making sure it aligns with our values.
So as we move forward into this, increasingly AI-driven world,
Yeah,
we need to remember we have a voice.
exactly. We all have a say in this.
So what can we do? What can our listener do?
Well, stay informed, for one.
Okay, yeah.
Keep learning about AI ethics.
Right.
Keep having these conversations, asking tough questions.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to hold companies and policymakers accountable.
That's a good point. Because we're all interacting this AI on a daily basis, right?
We are every single day.
Our choices matter.
Absolutely. Every click, every purchase, it all sends a message.
So we're talking about being conscious consumers, understanding those potential biases that we talked about,
Yeah,
and, speaking up when something doesn't feel right.
exactly. We keep saying it, but it's important to remember AI is a tool.
Yeah.
Like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad, and it's up to us to make sure it's being used for the right reasons.
Well said. When I was first going through these sources, I have to admit, I was getting a little freaked out.
Oh, yeah? Why's that?
All this talk about AI surveillance everywhere, it felt like I was living in some kind of sci-fi thriller.
I can see how it could feel that way.
And then I realized, wait a minute, my smartphone's already tracking my every move. It's not so far-fetched after all, is it?
It's true, AI is already deeply embedded in our lives, often in ways we don't even think about.
That's exactly why I think these conversations are so important.
The crucial. We need to be aware of what's happening and what's at stake.
This deep dive has really made me realize how complex this whole issue of AI ethics really is.
It is, and it's constantly evolving as AI advances.
So we need to keep learning, right?
Absolutely. The more we understand, the better equipped we'll be to navigate these complexities.
It's not about fearing AI.
No, not at all.
It's about understanding it and making sure it serves humanity.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It's about shaping a future where technology works for us, not the other way around.
I like that.
And that's a future worth fighting for, don't you think?
Absolutely. And it's a future we can all help create.
It feels like we're at a turning point with AI,
I agree. It's a pivotal moment.
Yeah, the decisions we make right now about AI,
Yeah.
those are going to shape the future in a huge way.
They really will. The choices we make today have a ripple effect.
And that's really what this whole deep dive has been about for me.
What do you mean?
Realizing we can't just sit hand and be passive.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
We can't just accept whatever happens with AI.
We have to be proactive.
Exactly. We have a responsibility to guide its development, make sure it's used ethically.
Right, like we've been talking about.
And that means, everyone, not just the experts, not just the people building the tech.
It's a collective responsibility, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important takeaway for our listener today.
It is.
As we move into this future, this world that's becoming more and more driven by AI,
Yeah.
we need to remember we have a voice.
You do. You have a say.
We have power through the choices we make.
That's right.
So to wrap things up here,
Yeah.
stay informed, keep learning, and keep asking questions.
Don't be afraid to challenge the status quo.
Exactly. And never stop being curious about AI, right?
The more we understand it, the better we can shape it.
And the better we can shape our future alongside it.
Well said. It's been a fantastic conversation.
It really has. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into AI ethics.
It was my pleasure.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.